Look, when it happened, a lot of people on this show, a lot of viewers, a lot of people out there, they called me a madman. They called me crazy. They said I didn't know what I was doing. I should stop making picks. And based off of how our week went, I probably should stop making picks. But Bengals plus 14.5 was always a lock. And it was always a lock because of Joe Flacco. I'm so excited that Joe Flacco gets to throw to good receivers now. You know, having T. Higgins and Jamar Chase on a team with that guy who literally just, if he has any pass protection at all, like you saw it in the second half where he threw a bomb to Jamar Chase who scored a touchdown, they could win games. You know, will they win games? Probably
Again, yeah,
not.
no, I think what we said last week on the show, which again, this is something we don't do very often, is
Yeah.
pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, when he's the starter, he's not your guy. When you need someone to come in after your starting quarterback's been hurt and exceed expectations, give Joey a call.
And this was with like 5 days on the playbook. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
sure, they lost the game first and foremost. Like, obviously, you lose to the Green Bay Packers in this game, but they were always going to cover 14.5 points. I mean, the Packers in themselves have been a disappointing team, in my opinion, so far. I think that they showed a lot of promise week one. You obviously beat the old division champions in the Lions and you blow them out. Jordan Love looked probably his best all season that week, or probably the Dallas week. And then you get Micah Parsons on defense and you're expecting them to just take a leap and a bound towards winning that division. And I mean, the Lions seem to be back in control. You know what I mean? So it was a big win for the Green Bay Packers. They obviously had to get it done, but Joe Flacco is going to
I'm going to be,
have another full season.
yeah, no, totally. I'm going to be honest with you. I felt pretty confident about Joe having some receivers, much more
Agreed.
than I did in Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said it last week. I still think this Bengals team can really make some noise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was the first time you've seen, with the exception of Jamar Chase, who had a couple Jake Browning games, it's the first time you've seen even like a glimpse of hope from this offense, which I mean is pretty big if you're the Cincinnati Bengals.
No, I agree. I think you're looking for anything. You're looking for anything that can tell you that you have to keep this roster together the way that it is. You know what I mean? Something that tells your fans to keep buying tickets to go to games.
Well,
And
something that keeps your
something,
players to get on the field every Sunday, especially next year.
yeah,
Um, but like keeping these guys happy is your number one priority. And
agreed.
if you didn't do that this season, then who knows what was happening going into the next season. However, I do. Don't get me wrong. I love Flacco ball just as much as the next guy.
Mhm.
Wish it was Jameis Winston. I'll say it.
Yeah, of
Joe
course.
Flacco's he's just Jameis Winston, but a little bit worse.
Yeah. Jameis is probably your backup quarterback's favorite backup quarterback in the league, if I had to guess. He's awesome to watch play football.
Look,
But
and
I mean,
also
another thing,
The Bengals are a train wreck right now.
yeah,
If you need a guy to go get that locker room figured out,
100%.
Jabui's your guy.
He's getting paid, man. He's getting paid to do that, which is
Yeah.
funny. He's getting paid to be a third string quarterback on a team that's starting a rookie, which is pretty hilarious to me. Another thing that's going to keep your fans happy is having Joe Flacco jerseys in NFL shops. Him in that, that all white tiger print jersey, man. I mean, those things, one, are really cool. And two, I mean, look, we love Joe Flacco. We've been saying it for a little while now. I think those jerseys are probably going to be flying off the shelves.
There's a new Joe Burr in town.
New Joe Burrow. Yeah. Joe Fur.
That's not going to catch on.
Okay.
No,
My
but you
bad.
did mention it. The Joe Flacco jersey is on the Bengals is one of those that's going to go up in the rafters in the Hall of Random Jerseys. And
Yeah.
after the show last week, you and I were talking about that, and we decided that why don't we do a draft of the guys who have played in the most random jerseys, whether it be at the end of their career or whatever.
Yep.
So you and I are going to be picking 5 people who look wrong in their jerseys for the Hall of Random.
100%. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? I mean, I get to pick first for picks, so I think that you should probably lead us off if I had to guess.
All right, my first pick, and it was tough. It was tough deciding which one I was going to go with because there is a couple options here.
Mhm.
My first pick is going to be Antonio Brown on the Raiders because he did not play a
Interesting.
game for the Raiders. That press conference with him holding the jersey is such a famous picture, and he never played a game for the Raiders.
I had him on my list as a New England Patriot. So I think
You can
that's
still
a
take it,
fantastic
so
pick. Nope, I'm not gonna. I think I think that was probably the right play if I had to guess. The Raiders, yeah, really weird. I mean, the video of him with his kid where he's standing on the sideline in the Raiders black and gray, and his kid's like, "Where's Ben Roethlisberger?" And he's like, "We're on the Raiders now. Our quarterback's Derek." Like, that's pretty cute before the whole CTE thing set in. I'm glad you went with a Steeler because I'm also going to go with a Steeler here. I'm going to go with a 33-year-old who you could consider probably should still be in the NFL just based off of age.
I know
I'm going
who
to
it
take
is.
Le'Veon Bell on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here for my first pick overall.
Wow,
Bet you
that's a
didn't
good
know he
pick.
played for them.
No, I do remember him. That's not where I thought you were going.
Okay.
Quick story time, if I may.
Okay.
No way this makes the Instagram edit. Last year, my first week at school, my roommate, who's also a Patriots fan, and I went to go watch the Patriots play the Commanders, and we're sitting there watching the game, and we look across the sidelines to the Commanders sideline. We're like, "Oh my God, is that Martavis Bryant?" Martavis Bryant played on the Washington Commanders last year.
Wow.
That's a
Wow.
random jersey.
That is a random jersey. That is 100% a random jersey.
I don't think he
Remember
made the team.
Martellus Bennett? I
Yeah.
remember Martellus Bennett. All right, go ahead. Pick number 2 here.
All right, number 2, I'm going basketball. All my picks are either basketball or football because I feel like there's too much change in hockey. There's a
Yep.
whole lot of change in baseball. It's really kind of hard to have a random jersey. I do have an honorable mention for that. My next pick is going to be that one year that Russell Westbrook was on the Wizards. People
really
remember
good
his
pick.
time in the Lakers. They remember his times in Nugget and the Clippers.
Mhm.
Him in a Wizards jersey is so strange to me. That came back to mind when he went to the Kings this week. We'll talk about that later, but Russell Westbrook on the Wizards is such a strange jersey to me.
We think very similarly because I have Westbrook on the Kings on my list. I'm not going to take it now because you've already stolen my thunder there. Here's a really random one for you. Andrew Wiggins Western Conference All-Star jersey with my number 2 overall pick. No one saw that one coming.
That's such a good pick. That's such a good pick. Yeah, I got nothing to say to that one. I'm trying to decide which direction I'm going to go in here. I think I'm going to go football, basketball, football, basketball, basketball.
Okay.
Got to take this one. Celtics Shaq.
Yeah,
Most
he's the
random jersey
blueprint.
of all time. Yeah,
He's the
he is.
blueprint. He's the blueprint. I mean, I just
That's
had
it's
media
a
day.
bit shock, but I had to.
I just had my media day photos here at Ithaca, and I was doing the ball on the shoulder point, and that's when you know that it's time to wrap it up. Like it's always a bad sign. I'm gonna go center for center with you here.
That's a fifth year picture I've ever
Agreed.
seen.
Agreed. I'm gonna take Patrick Ewing's Orlando Magic jersey. Have fun trying to find that thing.
No
That's a
way,
tough
dude.
one to
I had
find.
that on my list.
Really?
Yeah, I had that on my list. That's gonna alter things for me. It's gonna alter things big
Number
time.
four.
For me.
It's yeah. I mean, you had a system, but I don't want to shake it up too much. If you know.
My next pick that I'm gonna make is it's kind of like a choose your own adventure pick. You can take either one of the two, which is kind of bending the rules and moving the goalposts. But
I'll allow it.
I'm gonna take Brett Favre on either the Jets or the Vikings. You can take your pick there.
I think he's way more of a Viking than a Jet.
So you're gonna go Jets. That's fine.
Because of this ain't Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl call. You remember that thing where he like throws an interception across the middle?
I remember. I remember it.
Okay.
It's just so strange seeing him in a division rival uniform.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
That's the weird part.
Agreed. I'm gonna go with a guy I can't believe you haven't mentioned him so far. He's on your wall. Chad Ochocinco in a New England Patriots jersey.
Right here.
There it is. That's the one. I'm taking that.
Yep.
That will be joining my team.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was off limits because we talked about that a couple weeks ago, so I didn't take that. All right, so what have I made? 3 picks? Made 3 picks
Made
each?
4. You've made 4. We both made 4.
Oh, so this is my last one.
This is it. You got to go big or go home here.
Yeah, and I'm going big. I got Allen Iverson on the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah. That is, in fact, big. All right, I'm going to wrap this one up. This one's probably the most well-known jersey that we have, but that being said, I just think it's fun as it is. I'm going to take Michael Jordan's Birmingham Barons jersey from his time in the minor leagues.
All right, yeah, good pick. Good pick.
Let's talk honorable mentions here. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear what you had.
I have 2.
Okay.
My first one is a bit of a deep cut, but it's Albert Pujols on the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Wow. Yeah.
He played there for like 30 games at the end of his career. That was a strange one.
You want to know another one? Alex Gonzalez on the LA Dodgers. That's
Adrian
one.
Gonzalez. Yep.
Adrian Gonzalez. That's who it is.
Yep.
Okay. I had David Ortiz on the Minnesota Twins as an honorable mention. I just don't think of him as a Minnesota Twin. He played there for like 5 years.
David Ortiz was not a Minnesota Twin. David Arias was a Minnesota Twin. He wasn't even going by. He wasn't even going by Ortiz when he played on the Twins.
That's a good point. You can't even find a Minnesota Twins jersey with David Ortiz's name on it. David Arias. Wow. I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. He played 5 years for the Minnesota Twins, though, which is crazy.
He probably went by Ortiz at some point, but it was. Yeah. All right. My last honorable mention is Chris Paul on the Warriors. That's just so random. Why did he go there?
Chris Paul on the Warriors. Chris Paul on OKC.
Chris Paul on the Rockets.
A little bit, yeah. I could see that. Chris
Spurs.
Paul on the Suns. They went to a championship. He played for the Spurs last year. You're right. Yeah, a lot of really weird stops on his way out of the league. I think this is his last season, actually, which is sad to think about. I had Westbrook on.
Sorry, I've got about 10 Celtics ones.
I had Westbrook on the Kings on my list. I also had Antonio Brown in New England, as I said. I had Josh Gordon in New England. That was a random one. And then I finally wrapped it up with Terrell Owens on the Bengals. So those are
I'm going to spitball some Celtics ones at you.
Okay, go for it.
Stephon Marbury was a Celtic.
Okay.
Chauncey Billups, Joe Johnson, Dominique Wilkins, and Artis Gilmore are all Celtics jerseys that exist. And Gary Payton. Those are all Celtics jerseys that exist out there.
Artis Gilmore, the A-Train. Chauncey Billups is a good one. We drafted him. You could also say, Kobe Bryant's draft day workout shirt. That would be a fun one too. But yeah, that was a fun draft to get things kicked off here. As you can tell, we're always looking for Hall of Random players. Like, we'll probably do this again. And Utah Jazz, Kevin Love, you're going to be on the list. I'm sorry, man. That's just how this goes. But the NBA season is almost back. We're going to have an NBA preview for you next week when we get into some regular season games, just because we've been talking so much about football. We're going to continue to do that this week with our 1 episode a week schedule. It's kind of been tough. Maybe we'll go to 2, talk 1 football, 1 basketball. We'll figure that out as we go down. But something that did happen in the NBA scheme that was really random and also pretty funny was Celtics Media Day happened. You know a little bit more about it than I do because, seriously, like, the questions that come out of this are, what is Joe Mazzulla doing? And does this team have a chance to win games this year?
Yeah, I think this Celtics season has the potential to be full of what is Joe Mazzulla doing.
Yep.
I think that might be the storyline all year. He got off to a hot start. Apparently it's a tradition. I didn't know anything about this. Apparently it's a tradition for the Celtics media members to have a media versus media basketball game that they play every year in the Auerbach Center, the training facility for the Celtics.
Mm.
This year, Joe Mazzulla walked on the court while it was happening and was like, all right, no, we're not doing this year. We're doing Celtics media versus the coaching staff, which is pretty much all former players, if I'm not.
It's like
not
3
mistaken.
former NBA players and like 5 Division I guys versus a bunch of reporters.
So Joe Mazzulla
organized basketball. Clearly never played organized basketball before.
He put a collection of NBA players against women who have never played basketball at a professional level on the court. And the coaching staff won 57-4.
I would hope so. Emile Jefferson played in the NBA like 3 years ago.
They were throwing self lobs off the glass. There's if you go on the Celtics Instagram, which has 6.5 million followers, there's a video of the coaching staff diving for loose balls against women on the court. Joe, what are we doing? He must hate the media. If you are Joe Mazzulla, what is your angle here? Or is it so that every time you go into a press conference and a reporter asks a stupid question, you can be like, "Yeah, I watched you play.
We beat you 57-4, and
I
4
watched
points
your
is
jumper.
too much. They let up 4 points.
I agree.
I just think it's hilarious that you have a guy who won a national championship at Duke and served as a captain there for 3 years, and then played 5 years in the NBA and like 3 years overseas. Emile Jefferson, who's now an assistant coach on the Celtics, and you're throwing lobs to him over female reporters. Like, that's so funny.
Sam Cassell. Phil
Yep.
Pressey.
Like, bro,
God,
they were
God, Sham God is on the Celtics.
this is the most elite rec basketball team of all time that they put together.
Imagine walking into the Auerbach Center thinking that you're going to just go play your buddies and pick up, and Sham God's on the court.
It's like Joe he didn't elaborate on it at all. He went, "Yeah, you guys aren't playing here today. You're playing the coaches." And then he left. And you could hear the guys in the background who like asked the questions about it being like, "Oh, Jesus." Like they knew immediately they had no chance in that.
I'm going to say this is probably the last time they ever do a media versus media
Oh,
game.
yeah. Yeah. I would have to assume so. I mean, I don't think the coaching staff is going to be, getting up for playing them again, but maybe
Look,
Joe Mazzulla
Celtics media, it's your turn to respond.
correct.
You got to put some players out there next time.
Yeah.
You got Scal, you got Eddie House.
Yep.
And that's pretty much all you got right now. You got to bolster it up a little bit.
Start hiring people. They could be like media correspondents, and they're just guys who just chill on the sideline. But you got to bolster this roster come next season. I agree. They're going to need a little bit more fire coming out of the Celtics training camp here. Why did Joe Mazzulla do that? We don't really know. That's kind of the way that he is with a lot of things. So we'll keep an eye on the Celtics as we go on, and as I said, we'll have a full NBA preview up for you guys next week, which I'm super excited about.
Me too. It's our first edition of Why Did Joe Do That? That's going to be
Correct.
a recurring segment throughout the year.
I'm sure it is.
Let's just touch on baseball real quick. Look,
okay.
Excuse me. I want to make one thing clear. Alex and I love baseball, especially postseason baseball. Mm-hmm. We don't talk about it a lot on the show because we're a once-a-week show, which means that baseball games happen pretty much every day. If we're doing it once a week, it's pretty hard to consistently keep you guys updated with what's going on. But we do love it. And this playoffs has been phenomenal throughout.
Awesome.
It certainly has. So we're just going to touch on one thing real quick. Did you see the video of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the champagne celebration after the Yankees lost to the Toronto Blue Jays last week? That's worth touching on.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, David Ortiz is a member of the Fox pre- and post-game studio show alongside Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter. That's the crew. Mm-hmm. And every time the Yankees lose a baseball game, he makes a huge deal out of it, and he goes, "The Yankees lose," and it's hilarious.
Awesome stuff.
So after the Blue Jays eliminated the Yankees in pretty convincing fashion, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was being interviewed from the locker room celebration, and I mean, just clearly obliterated. Mm-hmm. Was on the microphone and went, he went, "The Yankees lose," and it was hilarious. It left me with one thought, and that is, we ask a lot whether or not the game is gone, right? Mm-hmm. Is the game gone? The Yankees next year, in Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s first at-bat, they have to drill him, right? They have to drill him with a pitch.
They probably do.
And it's the right thing to do.
They probably do. My question is, how do we get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on the Red Sox? But that's a completely different question for a later date. Keep an eye on this Mariners-Blue Jays series. It looked like the Mariners were going to run away with it after winning 2 games at the Blue Jays' house, who have been incredible at home this year, just as it is. But they had a massive offensive performance last night. Like we said, we can't cover every single game going into Game 4 tonight, I think. Look, there are 4 teams left. It's the Mariners, the Blue Jays, the Brewers, and the Dodgers. And the only team I don't want to see win the World Series is the Dodgers. So we'll see what happens going forward. We will try to be a little bit more up to date with that if we can. But please tune into some baseball. There have been some fantastic games. The Mariners game to close out their series was unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, 15 innings in a 2-1 game. That's baseball. That's like, you have to really love the game in order to watch that.
Agreed.
All right, should we talk some NFL? It's time. Let's get into it. Pats keep rolling. They beat the Saints this week. It was a pretty convincing win in my eyes, but the score sheet doesn't necessarily reflect that.
Agreed.
Drake May continues. I mean, he had 3 passing touchdowns, 287 yards. He continues to look like a top 10 quarterback, Alex. I mean, if I know that, like, we made the reel last week and people were like, I don't know, like you guys are crazy. We had one guy in our YouTube comment section say, "You guys are clearly Pats fans." Yeah, no shit, that's the whole bit. It's not really a joke anymore. He actually
Yeah.
is a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, he's been playing like it. He's top 5 in passing yards. I think he's first in completion percentage right now, and the way that he's been playing has been very convincing. Um, yeah, I mean, I think the score sheet doesn't really show the full scope of this game. Some calls didn't go the Patriots' way that week, and evidently they got the job done though, right? And I think the biggest storyline from this weekend is probably the Buffalo Bills, who we'll touch on later on. But since the Patriots beat the Bills and are now on what, a 3-game win streak, 3 or 4-game win streak,
3-game heater.
3-game win streak, they are the top of the AFC division, which is not
AFC
really
East.
something.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not something that I think a lot of people had pegged. And do I think it's going to stay that way? Probably not.
Well,
But given the Patriots' schedule and who they play for the rest of the season, this Bills win at the Bills' house was a really big deal. If they can get them again, that would be phenomenal. But this Patriots team has looked like a playoff team for the first time in what we've said 6 years, right? They look like a team that has been, through the ringer and now is coming out the other side. And Drake May is making steps towards being probably the most impressive quarterback of his class this season. I still think I have Jaden Daniels over him if I had to pick straight up, just because of how Jaden Daniels performed last year. But in a quarterback class, it's been very impressive so far. We've mentioned it before. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Drake May, Michael Penix.
they all look like
Caleb Williams.
franchise guys.
They all
Yeah.
look like guys who could lead your team. JJ McCarthy, maybe, if he gets healthy, right? So, there are bright spots in this draft class, and Drake May is kind of shining the brightest out of all of them at the moment. He wasn't a guy that I was super high on coming out of the draft. I really wanted us to draft a skill player. That being said, I've loved what I've seen from him so far, and I'm excited to continue to see what Drake May brings to this football team because it's really promising right now, and that's kind of all that you're looking for.
Yeah, no, agreed. The Patriots won that game. If they didn't, the NFL was going to hear hell about that reffing crew. I mean, Stephon Diggs had 2 pass interference calls that were like the 2 pass interference calls were like a net 110 yards and a touchdown that they got called back. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not typically one to hate on referees. They do their job and they make bad calls, and that's part of a human crew. I agree with that.
Mhm.
When the entire referee announcing crew and both the commentators are like, yeah, that was ridiculous, then you can start to have the conversation about like what really happened. And that
Yeah.
happened both times. So, I mean, they did have to figure that out. But Patriots continue to look phenomenal.
Agreed.
Moving on, Alex, we have our first notable Nickelodeon MVP of the year.
MVP award.
And
MVP.
some people are saying MVPs value more than MVPs. I don't know who those people are.
I don't
People are
either.
saying it, though.
I mean, you're
Cam
joining
Scatterbo won this
conversation with
week.
the likes of Mitch Trubisky.
Mitch Trubisky and Rams Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, 2 really random players.
It's Rams Baker Mayfield, Hall of
Yeah.
Random Jerseys.
Look, Cam Scatterbo may be the most beloved player in the NFL right now. I don't know if that's going to continue or what the story is there, but people seem to love this crayon-eating guy. He just continually makes plays. He puts his head down. He takes hits. This is what he does.
Don't get me wrong. I hate the Giants just as much as the next Patriots fan, but even I can admit you could like this team. You really can.
Yeah, I agree.
They're frisky. They're the definition of frisky.
I like Jackson Dart. He may be the first Mormon quarterback I like watching play football. I mean, there are only like 3 of them all time, but it's him or Zach Wilson in my lifetime. So I like watching Jackson Dart play football, though. I liked him at Ole Miss. I did not think that he was going to perform as well as he has thus far. That being said, the New York Giants fan base loves these 2. They love them, and they needed something like this. You saw it the way that they treated Russell Wilson when he went in the game when Jackson Dart went to the tent. Like, they are begging for something to be excited about in New York. And it seems like Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo are going to lead them that way.
You know who loves these 2 guys? Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll loves these guys.
Big time.
Mainly
Big time.
because they've saved his job. I mean, did
At
you
the
see
moment.
him run into the tent when Jackson Dart got hurt? He must have broken an NFL procedure somehow by doing that.
Yep. at the moment. So I like that you bring that up though, because I wanted to talk about NFL head coaches really quickly, if that was possible. Kevin
Yeah, let's do it.
Stefanski is probably the next person on the hot seat. The Tennessee Titans let go of their head coach. I don't remember his name. Um, Mid-season move. I don't
His
necessarily
name's
remember who it
Brian
was.
Callahan.
Ryan Callahan. Okay, so I wanted to run some odds by you and see if you would take each and every one of these odds for head coaches to get fired. I think Aaron Glenn,
During the regular season or after the year?
you could take either. Either way.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about the New York Jets. Aaron Glenn has led this New York Jets team to an 0-6 start. They have looked worse every single week this year. They looked pretty good week one, I felt. Justin Fields looked a little bit confident. Their defense was kind of performing. And Aaron Glenn was a guy who hung his hat on the defensive side of the football. Nowadays, it doesn't seem like anything is happening in New York. You had a defensive head coach before in Robert Saleh. You let him go after going roughly below 500 2 years in a row. Do you think Aaron Glenn makes it through the season? Do you think that he gets fired at the end of the season? I'm saying that for him to get fired at the end of the season is even odds. So during the season, I'll give you plus 200.
I don't think Glenn gets fired. I think
Period.
the Jets are. I don't think he gets fired. I don't think.
Okay.
I think he's proven enough that you don't fire him after 1 year. I think next year things get a little bit shaky.
Okay. Sounds good. Do you think that Justin Fields is the guy in New York, or what's the story there?
I think he had a chance to be going into this year, and I don't think that he's aspired confidence in that organization. I think they'll be drafting a quarterback.
All right. Sounds good. Next coach up, we have Mike McDaniel, a guy that has lasted longer than we were
Fired.
expecting to be right now.
I think he gets fired midseason.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
shocked
We're
it
still
hasn't
waiting on it.
happened yet.
We're still waiting on him.
Can we,
I was
can we
going to
touch
give
on
you,
this real quick before we
yeah.
before we go on? This is something I had written down. These two coaches not only are a combined 1-11, but are
Mhm.
have gone 12 games with the ugliest outfits on the sidelines that I've ever seen. And the pictures that have come of
I
Mike
saw you text
McDaniel
me
and
this the
Aaron
other
Glenn
day. Yeah.
wearing these two coaches wear capri pants to every single game, and getting up on the stand to do a post-game interview about why your team sucks while wearing capris is so stupid. So I think the evidence shows that coaches who wear capris this season are 1-11. That's not the
Yep.
winning formula. You got,
Okay.
if I don't see a pants change up from one of these guys this week, I think they might both get fired midseason.
All right. All right. I don't hate that. All right. I'm going to run you another one here. Kevin Stefanski of the Cleveland Browns. He is the odds-on favorite to get fired next, probably mid-season if I had to guess. I'm going to give you mid-season at even odds and after the season at minus 200.
I think he makes it till after the season. I
Okay.
think Stefanski is a good enough coach. I think that if he gets fired, he gets hired somewhere else.
Okay.
But I think he'll make it through the end of the season.
All right. And you think he makes it through the end of the season because of the rookie quarterback situation that they have going on with Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders? Or is it just that this defense is good enough to inspire you to be like, okay, maybe they can play at a high level if they get some offensive pieces?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of that and the fact that when given a good roster, he's pretty consistently overperformed with given what he's had, which is nothing. Like the
Right.
1 year that he had a good roster, they got a playoff win. So, I mean,
Right.
I think that he's been dealt a very tough set of cards as a coach.
Okay.
But
The
yeah, I think he
final
makes it
guy
to
that
the end
I'm
of the year.
the final guy that I'm going to give you here, I'm not going to give you in-season odds because he won't get fired during the season. But after the season, the guy we touched on, I think last week, Jim Harbaugh. I'm going to give you plus 300 odds that Jim Harbaugh packs his bags in this offseason.
No, I think Harbaugh stays. I mean, they're
Okay.
4-2. They've had some disappointing games, but like
2-4.
Amari and Hampton,
John Harbaugh, not sorry,
John
sorry, wrong
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh,
That's a
wrong
completely
Harbaugh,
different
wrong
conversation.
Harbaugh. My bad, my fault.
Oh man, what were the odds again?
Plus 300, end of the season. I think he makes it through the season, is what I'm saying.
I'm not gonna take that because I think the Ravens will come back and finish hovering around the 500 mark in
Okay.
order to look. We said it, 10 wins gets you a playoff spot in the
Yeah,
AFC. 11
probably.
wins you the division. I still think they have a chance to rattle off some wins, especially deep. But if we are still having this conversation in 4 weeks, I think those odds slip to about even.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, so that was, just something that I was thinking about when it came to head coaches. I mean, obviously Mike McDaniel and Aaron Glenn. We got to get the Capris out of here. I agree with you. Um,
Well,
Another
speaking
big
about the
question. Yeah, no, no, no. Please
yes,
go ahead.
speaking of, sorry to interrupt you. Speaking about the Dolphins, real quick with Mike McDaniel.
Okay.
He was not the only person this week that had a notable post game interview.
Mm,
Tua Tagovailoa went up on the stand, having thrown 3 interceptions this week for, I believe, the second time this year.
yep.
And he gave a whole speech about how players aren't showing up to player only meetings and that their locker room has a lack of leadership. Tua, no shit, you're the leader.
Right.
Like, to me, that was like, why are you the one talking about this? You're just going up there and telling the entire NFL that you have no control over your guys. And
And your head coach
in
doesn't
an
either.
right in the NFL locker room, everyone looks up to the quarterback. And if you're the one
Agreed.
complaining about a lack of leadership, who's going to be the leader?
Yeah.
The Dolphins continue every week to just delve further and further into a dumpster fire.
Mm, I think that's a really good point that you made. And I don't know how long Tua Tagovailoa is going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Again, I think Miami probably goes and tries to draft one this upcoming draft. Um, But like you said, like there is not a lot to look forward to in Miami right now. After having a few promising seasons, I felt like, when the Patriots were not as good a team the past 2 or 3 years, I mean, they made a push towards the playoffs, couldn't get it done. Um, and it's just seemed to go completely south, completely haywire, and has become a little bit of a disaster and a dumpster fire, as you said, which is kind of what everyone was expecting this year. To the certain extent that they're this bad, I don't necessarily think that that was on anyone's mind. But I agree. I think Tua, as a leader of that locker room, you have to step it up if you want your team to, rally behind you. Um, a big question that I have about the NFL right now is it kind of sits like there isn't a top dog, which is interesting because I feel like the past few years there's been a little bit of parity, but we've always kind of defaulted to, okay, the Chiefs are great, the Bills are great, the Eagles are great, all these teams are great, and we'll see one or all of them in the Super Bowl this year, right? This year, the parity in the NFL feels really strange. It feels like there isn't one team that you can point to and be like, that team is a Super Bowl contender. Now, I think that there's a multitude of teams in the league that you could point to and say, okay, they could potentially contend for a Super Bowl championship this year. But I just don't think there's one team that I can discernibly say is the best team in the NFL right now. And that's not something that I think I've been able to do in a very long time. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's whether or not the rest of the league has gotten better and kind of rose to the same level that everyone else was on, or
Mm,
if there's just a lot of mediocrity in the NFL right now. But to be
yep.
honest with you, Alex, I can't even give you like 3 teams that are better than the rest of them, let alone one best team in the NFL right now. I feel like
Right.
there's a I feel like there's a crop of about 10 teams that we know are pretty good, but
Mm,
we don't know who's great. I mean, the two 5-1 teams right now are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Indianapolis Colts, who are
yep.
I mean, the Bucks you figured would compete for their division, but no one even thought the Colts were going to be good this year. So,
Correct.
uh, 6 weeks in, you're third of the way through the NFL season. We have
Mhm.
no idea who is like a great team in the NFL, which I
Yep.
mean, for me is awesome because every
Agreed.
week anything can happen,
Agreed.
but it's making picking our teams every week incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
definitely true.
maybe we suck, but at the same time, like
And we do. But
I mean, we do. Yeah. And I mean, hand up, we're here. Uh, we, I feel like as a collective, just have no idea who the upper echelon of teams in the NFL are right now. And I don't know if we will in another 6 weeks. So I'm interested to see how it develops. But I can tell you right now, the Falcons, the way they played the Bills on Monday night, Alex, they look like one of the best offenses in the league when they can get it all figured out. Do you think
mm,
that that was a fluke game where they just kind of beat up on a Bills team that isn't that good? Or do you think the Falcons offense is really just that good and that they've finally kind of reaching that development stage that we've been hoping that they could get to for the last couple of years?
I think Bijan Robinson is that good. I don't necessarily know if their offense is that good. That being said, Michael Penix has been very good behind center this year. He's shown a lot of promise for this team, I feel like. On top of that, Drake London played probably his best game of the season in that game against the Bills, and their defense showed up, which was not something that we were expecting. We both, you and I, expected the Buffalo Bills to come in and steamroll the Atlanta Falcons, and that just didn't happen. And when you have a player that is as dynamic and can break off an 81-yard run to the crib like Bijan Robinson on your team, like I think you're pretty excited about that. So I think that this Atlanta Falcons offense is starting to come around. It seems like Penix is the guy behind center right now who has instilled the confidence in the OCs and all those types of people. You still have Kirk Cousins on your bench. I'm not necessarily sure what he is contributing, right? Because he was clearly disgruntled with the fact that he wasn't playing behind Michael Penix at the end of last season. So has he embraced more of a leadership role this year? Potentially. We're not really sure on that. I think you're still hoping that Michael Penix can become more consistent. He's had some really good games and some really poor games this season. But when you can rely on a guy like Bijan Robinson to go out there and just literally break tackles for 81 yards and a touchdown, even more yards. In the game, he had something like 150 yards, right? But like that one play in particular comes to mind. Like you should be handing him the ball whenever he wants. And that's how this team is going to be successful.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that I think that this offense is just good, to be honest
Yeah.
with you, and I think that
Yeah.
they are just developing, and we're starting to see it. Uh, does the Falcons putting belt to ass to the Bills this week make the Patriots win last week a little less special?
I mean, maybe a little bit. But I think that this Buffalo Bills team for the past few years has always had some really bad losses on their schedule where it's just like Josh Allen hasn't necessarily done exactly what he needs to do for them to win. Um, And I don't know. I don't know if it really invalidates the Patriots win, especially because the Patriots went to Buffalo and beat the Bills, like we touched on last week. Um, but I certainly do think that there are some question marks about this Buffalo Bills team coming out of this week as to what we have, because they've had 6 or 7 years now at this point with Josh Allen at the helm to make a push towards the Super Bowl, and they haven't seemingly done that. Right. So I think for the Bills, it's a question of when does our window close? Because it seems like the Patriots are coming up in this AFC East right now, and while they may not necessarily be on the same level yet, they're getting there. And you can't be dropping games that you're expected to win.
They do have a bye week this week, which will be big for them to kind of figure it out, and I do expect them to come out of the bye week looking a whole lot better.
Agreed.
But yeah, I agree with you. The Patriots are on their way up, and this AFC is pretty balanced, and the NFC is really good. So there's a lot of teams that you can lose to. One of the teams that seems to be blowing it in the NFC is the Commanders. I mean, they really blew that game the other night. They had referees on their side. They were at home. They had a lead with 3 minutes left and the ball, and they fumbled on a handoff to Bill. Jaden Daniels fumbled the handoff to Bill, and the Bears came down and kicked a game-winning field goal with
Mhm.
Jake Moody, their backup kicker, who was pretty much
Correct.
exiled from the league for being so bad in those
And
situations.
hated by Debo Samuel, who is a now Washington Commander.
Correct. Notoriously hated by him.
Yep.
Alex, what is the Commander's problem?
I don't know what the issue with the Commanders is. And I mean, this was a really close game between two very evenly matched teams, I feel like. Um, I just think that they were one of those teams that popped off last year. Dan Quinn had the right formula. They had the right guy at quarterback who, I mean, he's missed 2 or 3 weeks, Jaden Daniels, now at this point, with some sort of injury. And I think they caught some lightning in a bottle that year and were really successful. I think you and I both expected them to take a little bit of a step back this season, especially playing in an NFC East that is with the Philadelphia Eagles in it. Um, but that the there are still a lot of questions about this Washington Commanders team, I think. And there were a lot of questions about them last year, even when they were in the NFC Championship game, because even then, I don't think that people really saw them as a Super Bowl contender. This season, you sign Debo Samuel, you re-sign Terry McLaurin to a historic contract. Did you shore up your offense enough? It feels like it. But this Bears team is consistently improved. And last season, when they played the Bears in one of these tight games, they won on a Hail Mary, right? This year, it didn't go their way. So I don't necessarily think that things are going differently for Washington. I just think that this season they're not getting the 50-50 wins that they got last year. And the biggest thing for this Washington Commanders team is one, Jaden Daniels has to be healthy and under center for the rest of the season. And they got to rattle off some wins late against some division opponents because they're going to have to play high powered offenses like the Cowboys and score with them. They're going to have to grind out games against the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They're going to play the New York Giants, who seemingly have looked like they're turning a page here, right? So, There are a lot of questions about this Commanders team that I think you're right. We'll have to discuss later on. But I'm also not super surprised that they're sitting at 3-3, considering the fact that they were so good last year and we expected them to take a step back this year.
The thing is about this division is it is incredibly gettable for all four teams right now. We thought
Correct.
this was going to be one of the best divisions in football going into the season. But right now, it looks like any of these four teams could possibly string together I mean, maybe excluding the Giants. It looks like any of these teams can kind of rattle off some wins and figure it out. I know the Cowboys defense is like they look like when the last government shutdown happened and all the TSA agents were pretty much just letting people on. But
Yeah,
but this division is incredibly gettable for all four teams right now, and it is not really without reach.
agreed. Agreed.
So they still have life, and they're getting Debo back this week. He's been out with an injury. They're getting Terry McLaurin back this week. He's been out for 4.5 weeks with an injury. So I,
Mhm.
I wouldn't quite count them out yet, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. Um, we'll see what happens going forward with this Washington Commanders team. I mean, you are in Washington D.C., so you're closer to the ground than I am when it comes to the commies. I'm sure you'll be in touch, and we'll know a little bit more as it goes
Yeah,
on.
they're my second team
Another
this
big
year.
question
We
that I
picked
have
we
about the
picked second
NFL this
teams.
year.
The Commanders are mine.
They are. Yep. Yep. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, the stadium's right there. Another big question that's come out of the NFL this season is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 5-1. They're sitting at 5-1. And Baker Mayfield has looked like an MVP candidate so far.
Yep.
He has been throwing. Emeka Ibuka looks like the offensive rookie of the year. Let's be clear. He's putting up video game numbers with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on the bench right now. And Baker Mayfield has looked like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So last week we did this with Drake May. We listed off some quarterbacks that we thought, i.e., were better or in the same rank. And you asked me to not speak until I heard a quarterback better than Drake May. I'm going to ask you to do the same. So this is don't speak until you hear a quarterback better than Baker Mayfield. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Jared Goff. Joe Burrow. Interesting.
I mean, he's
Interesting.
hurt. He's not playing.
You're speaking. Don't speak. That's the whole point of the game.
All right, run the segment back. Give me guys that are on the field. Run the
All
segment
right.
back. Give me
All right.
guys that
No,
are
no,
on
no.
the field
All
right
right.
now.
All right. All right. All right. All right. We're gonna run it back here. These are quarterbacks. Oh boy, I'm messing it up. This is don't speak until you hear a quarterback better than Baker Mayfield. Jared Goff. Aaron Rodgers. Matt Stafford. Yeah, I think that's right. Jalen Hurts. He's not speaking, ladies and gentlemen. This is interesting here. Josh Allen.
Yeah, I have to say Josh Allen.
Okay.
I have
I
to say
agree.
Josh Allen.
I agree. He's the reigning
He's the best quarterback
or
in the NFL.
he's the reigning MVP of the league. It makes sense that you would say that. I agree with you. So yeah, I mean I think Baker Mayfield has had an incredibly successful season thus far. We'll see what happens with him going forward. Because I mean, look, he's gonna get some pieces back, right? Mike Evans is gonna come back. Chris Godwin is gonna come back. And then they're going to have another one of these high-powered offenses. Have they played a really great schedule so far? I don't think so. And they've won a lot of close games. But the way that Baker Mayfield has played has instilled a lot of confidence in me.
Yeah, no, I mean, he looks great. And in terms of MVP ladder, he has to be up there, possibly
Agreed.
number one. I mean, he's winning
Agreed.
these games. Not only is he winning these games and has the best record in the NFL right now, but he's doing it without his wide receiver. I mean, Igbuka's hurt this week too. He's doing it without his wide receiver 1, 2, and 3, and his right tackle and right guard.
Yeah.
That's half your offense.
Agreed.
And he's still putting up these numbers. That is what MVPs do.
He's been super successful. And look,
Every week he has another one of those, like, pull a rabbit out of a hat, get out of a
correct.
sack
But
on
that but
3rd and
that's what he
17,
does,
scramble for first down. You
right?
can count on it, and it gets better every week.
At this point, you're expecting him to be that type of player, right? Where if they have the ball with 2 minutes left, they're going to go down and score, right? Which is honestly one of the most important aspects of being an NFL quarterback, in my opinion, is that clutch factor. Some people have it, some people don't. Baker Mayfield clearly has it. We'll see how he does in the MVP ladder going forward.
It's that time of the week, Alex. Let's do it.
Time to make some picks, man. It's time to make some picks. I actually have a special guest with me right now. I'm sorry to say, without mentioning it, Yoav has been trying to make picks on the show for weeks. He's in the room with me. We're gonna continue, we're gonna try and do something later on for the NBA season where we pick against the guys. So these ones aren't necessarily going to count, but he wants to get his picks out there. If that's fine with you, I'm just gonna put him on the spot right now. Yeah. So this is the expert right now. Get on camera here.
Oh.
This is our expert here. He has been telling me that my picks have sucked for the past few weeks here.
And he's
That
right.
suck is crazy. Suck is crazy.
Yeah, we've been pretty bad. But so we're gonna let Yoav take the reins here, and you're gonna give me your
Get him in frame. Make sure he gets in frame.
Get in the frame.
I
There
get
we go.
5, and 2 of them have to be game of the week and then not game of the week, correct?
Have you told him who game and not game of the week
Let's
are?
start off with the
Yeah, you know who game of the week and not game of the week.
let's start off with let's get the bad out of the way. We'll go with the not game of the week. I'm going Miami to cover. Miami plus 2.5. I think the Browns are just so terrible. And their defensive line can only get them so far. I think Miami still has a couple speedsters. They have Darren Waller, who's 32, and looks like he's in his second prime. So give me Miami. And then for the game of the week, we have the Lions and the Buccaneers, right?
That's correct.
It's a tough one. Give me the Lions. I think the Lions are coming off a bad loss to the Chiefs. Where I honestly thought they were gonna win. He doesn't like that.
It's a shock pick there.
I mean, listen, I'm all in on the Buccaneers, but they're missing 3 out of their 4 top skill players. They're also missing Bucky Irving. I think the Lions are due for a bounce back game, and I think they get it here.
It's unfortunate that we're getting robbed of like a
other
proper
3,
week.
Give me the Packers minus 6.5 over the Cardinals.
Mm.
I think the Packers are absolutely going to steamroll them. I think Josh Jacobs is going to be a wrecking ball and destroy them. Wouldn't be surprised if they win by 10 plus. Next, I have the Colts plus 1.5 against the
Some
Chargers.
overlap here.
The Colts, man, they told me preseason the Colts are going to be bad, but I was trying to tell my friends from home that you got to have some faith. They're going to be all right. Jonathan Taylor looks like the best offensive player in the NFL right now. And I'm taking them to cover, but I think they win that game, honestly.
All right, wrap it up here.
And then my last one is Philly minus 1.5 over the Vikings. 2 brutal losses for Philadelphia. I think they get one back here and they get back on track and they beat the Vikings.
All right.
Those are
So
my
that was
fantasy.
Ask the Expert with Yoav Rigov. He's the guy that I go to for any fantasy advice on our team right now. Reigning fantasy champion of his home league.
Sure.
So that gives him some credibility.
Just a little bit.
And we have a little bit of overlap, as I mentioned, with our picks this week. But a bunch of my teammates here at Ithaca have been really trying to get on the show and showcase their abilities. And, the thing about making picks is it's going to come back to bite you some weeks. So we'll see how that pans out for the upcoming season.
See, it's so easy to just sit there when you don't have to make picks and be like, yeah, I'm going to go 5-0, I'm going to do this and that. You're not going to do it. I say that every week. I'm probably more qualified than all of you guys. But look, we all suck at it. You guys are just going to have to learn the hard way, and I'm here for it. I'm more than happy to have you guys as part of the picks so you guys can finally experience what it's like to make some picks. Alex, why don't you kick us off for this week?
Let's do it. Like we've been tying every week, which isn't necessarily what we want, but it's 14-14 on the overall standings right now, which means that I'm continuing to pick first here.
Wait. By the way, before you continue, that does put us under 500 for the first time this year.
I don't think it does.
14. We're 14 for 30.
Okay, so we got to get that back. We're getting it back this week though. My first pick is similar to Yoav's here. I'm going to trust the expert here. I'm taking Eagles minus 1.5 over Minnesota. Like he said, I think 2 bad losses for this Philadelphia Eagles team. They're going to come out with a fire, and I think that they beat this Minnesota Vikings team that doesn't necessarily have a full identity yet, if you had to ask me.
Yeah, I agree. I think the one problem is the Vikings defense is very good, and
Yep.
JJ McCarthy's back this week. So those
Well,
are a couple things
so
you got
is
to have
is
circled.
that a win or is that not a win?
I think it's a win over Carson Wentz, to be honest with
Okay.
you.
Okay.
So if the Eagles can't score, then it's really going to be a game, but that's really what it comes down to. For me, this one jumped off the page. I've been riding the Patriots train for a little while now. They covered 2 weeks ago against the Bills. They covered last week against the Saints. I think they cover -6.5 over the Titans this week. The Titans just fired their coach, which I mean sometimes can turn a season around. I don't think that's the case here in Tennessee. I think the Pats go in and win by a touchdown.
Okay. Okay. I like that pick. I think that's correct. I don't know who the Titans interim head coach is going to be, but I think that it's usually a safe bet when you're betting against the Tennessee Titans. My second pick here, I'm going to take Seattle -3.5 over the Texans.
Change to 3 if you want to switch it up.
Ooh, they changed to 3, by the way. I'm going to take it at 3.5, though. That's because that's what I had when I made my first initial pick. I think that this Houston Texans team isn't all that. I mean, you've seen a little bit of flashes of success from the past 2 weeks. They beat up on the Ravens. But I think the Seattle Seahawks team is really legit this year. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been fantastic. He's like the wide receiver 2 in fantasy right now. And I think that Sam Darnold has really acclimated himself well to being a good football player on the Seattle Seahawks team. So I expect them to go and take care of business against Houston.
Yeah, I think that's a good game, to be honest with you. It's really one of those games where it's like, what does Houston have? They've rattled off a couple wins now. Can they do it against a real team? I agree. I don't know if they can. I'm with Yoav here. I think his Colts pick over the Chargers was good. Chargers won by 1 point
Thanks,
last
Colts
week. They
pick.
haven't necessarily been killing teams. And I agree with pretty much everything he said. The Colts offense looks phenomenal, and they've been rolling. I think they beat the Chargers straight up, and I think that they cover a +1.5.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a really good pick here. The last one that I'm going to close it out with is I have the Chicago Bears -4.5 over New Orleans. Now, look, you never really feel comfortable betting on the Chicago Bears. Anything could happen in this game, but I just think that they're a better overall team than this New Orleans Saints team is. And I don't think the New Orleans Saints are going to have the whistle the same way they did in the last week against the Patriots. I expect Caleb Williams to go in and get things done.
You
Wait,
know
that's
this
not
is a
bad.
game that's
So he already picked 2?
Yeah.
20 pick.
So Jack has taken the Pats over the Titans and the Colts over the Chargers.
Unbiased Pats pick.
Well,
no,
I mean, there's
it's a
always going to be a
completely
little bit
biased. It's a completely biased Pats pick. You know this is a game that the Bears lose. They don't win games like this back
It
to
is a
back.
game that the Bears lose, but I have some faith. I have some faith in the guys who were on Hard Knocks 2 years ago. They were your team 2 years ago. Now I'm feeling a little bit at home. My girlfriend is a Bears fan.
Yeah, that's a
I
biased
have to
Bears
back
pick. I
the-
was going to bring that up. I was going to say that.
I have to back the Bears here if I had to guess.
Yeah, and this is going to be your first time learning how much it sucks to back the Bears. So
Okay.
I do hope they win for the sake of
Thanks.
competition. My last pick, I'm just going to be honest. I like a lot of the picks that I make. I don't like this one. I'm not comfortable with this one at all. I said it, and the second I said it, I was like, I'm going to hate that pick. I got the Cowboys +1.5 over the Commanders. The Commanders are getting all their guys back. They're getting all of them back. But the Cowboys are also getting CeeDee Lamb back. And the way that George Pickens and Javonte Williams have been playing right now, especially with Jake Ferguson, this Cowboys offense looks like the best offense in the NFL. And I think that they might go against the Commanders and just completely steamroll them. They might put up a shootout. So that's what I'm banking on.
Okay. I honestly don't hate that pick. Look, division rival game. There's a lot of questions that will be answered between those two teams. At 1.5 is a really short spread to take the Cowboys. I feel like, I mean, we've seen this team tie this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but +1.5. So if they tie,
I mean, it covers, right? So I guess you're right on that.
Jack confirmed not going 5 for 5.
All right, let's go game of the week here. Bucks Lions. You criticized the expert here for going chalk and taking the Lions. That feels like you're going to take Tampa Bay here. Is that the case?
no.
Okay, so we're all taking the Lions.
Yeah, we're all taking the
of us.
Lions.
All right,
No,
great.
Yoav was right. I mean, I was just hating, but Yoav was right. I mean, if both teams were fully healthy, then I would definitely consider taking the Bucks. But they're missing Ibuka, they're missing Evans, they're missing Godwin, they're missing Bucky Irving, and they're missing their right tackle and right guard. This is a super, super banged up Bucks offense. I don't think they'll have the firepower to get it done against the Lions. I think in Detroit, I think the Lions do it.
All right, sounds good. I agree with you. I think the Lions probably get this one done coming off the loss against Kansas City. They were like a play or two away from probably going up in the first half. I mean, the Jared Goff touchdown goes back and some other things that happened in that game that really let Kansas City, take the reins and, take off with it. So I expect this team to have a really good bounce back this week. Let's go to not game of the week. Obviously, this is the game that if you had to pick one to not be in your quad box, it's this one. Please take this game off of the airways. Nobody needs to watch the Miami Dolphins play the Cleveland Browns. Um, I have no idea. I have no idea. So I'm going to let you pick first, and then I'm going to pick whoever you don't take.
Yeah, look, if your significant other wants to do some fall shit like pumpkin picking or like go to an apple orchard, go do it during the Dolphins-Browns game. You're
Yeah.
not going to miss anything. I also don't really know who I like in this game. I feel like the Dolphins is the pick, but the Browns are frisky.
Yeah.
I think again, the Browns haven't put up more than 17 points in like
Mhm.
20 straight games. I
Yep.
think the Dolphins put up 17 points in this game and win.
Okay. That leaves me with the Browns here. Don't love that, but but in the interest of going 5-0, sometimes you have to take the road less traveled here. Dylan Gabriel will get his first win, and if he doesn't, it's time to give Shedeur Sanders a shot.
Yeah. I disagree with that entirely, but that's a case for another time. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with more pick.
I'm Alex Penders. Going 3.